Same score in Kingston, the Fronts over the Generals. That's the return where Michael Del Cole, now with the Kingston Frontenacs, facing his former Generals mates for the first time in the nation's capital tonight. Sasha Shimoleski and Chase Campbell making their debuts in Ottawa. But right now they're tied 2-2 against the Peterborough Petes in an East Division matchup. The Niagara Ice Dogs doubling up on the Spirit in Saginaw, 1-0 right now. The Greyhounds over the Otters. That game going on in the second. A lot of low-scoring games tonight. Guelph on home ice tied against the Barrie Colts, and the Rangers up by 1 on home ice against the Hamilton Bulldogs. Next broadcast to tell you about, first of all, those of you joining us from the Simcoe area, or the Owen Sound Grey County area, of course, they can check out the Owen Sound Attack on home ice tomorrow night as they take on the Kingston Frontenacs. Meantime, if you're watching us here on TV Cogeco in Sarnia, it's the Sting taking on the Saginaw Spirit. That game in Saginaw tomorrow night, 7 o'clock from the Dow Event Center. Well, coming up next is the OHL Roundtable here on the OHL tonight on TV Cogeco.
When I see a cruiser parked on the side of the road, I immediately think of my mom, and that's always difficult.
OPP members stop vehicles on highways across Ontario every day, yet drivers passing emergency vehicles often don't move over or slow down.
It's just so simple. Slow down and move over, and she would have been here.
It's here, the blockbuster exhibition everyone has been talking about. See paintings by Salvador Dali and other great masters at the Judith and Norman Alex Art Gallery in downtown Sarnia. Come to the gallery Wednesday through Sunday and take in the masterworks from the Beaverbrook Gallery exhibition. Book your tickets online at masterworks@jnaag.ca. That is masterworks@jnaag.ca, or call 519-336-8128 to book your tour today.
TV Cogeco is truly local television, and now becoming a member at tvcogeco.com makes posting your public service announcement quick and easy. Simply log on to tvcogeco.com, go to the PSA events page, and click on the link to post an event. Fill out the online form, then click the submit button. Your message will be displayed shortly after being approved. TV Cogeco. Total access is just a click away.
It's the OHL Roundtable on TV Cogeco, our second intermission. My name is Tim Durkin. As always, we bring in Terry Doyle to bring in his thoughts, and we welcome Chris McLeod as well. And gentlemen, of course, the focus, and still a little bit sore for the Canucks, is that Canadian loss at the World Juniors. Terry, your thoughts on the team and maybe how the tournament went, and was it just anybody's game?
Well, first of all, it is the fact that, Canada obviously goes into this tournament as a heavy favorite every year, but it is a more competitive tournament than it used to be. And we've been saying that for the last few years, but look at Team Finland, the way they performed, and the top-rated players they have for the upcoming National Hockey League entry draft is certainly a big factor with that, and the talent all across this tournament. Team Canada just seemed to be a unit that just never really came together, never really had that chemistry throughout the tournament. And in their last game against Finland, discipline was a big factor as well. They got frustrated and could not afford to take so many penalties against a very talented Finnish team like that. But I don't think anybody needs to panic a whole lot. It is a competitive tournament, just like sometimes we see in an OHL weekend where a team loses to someone they think, hey, maybe they should have won against, or a club goes into a season rated very high and doesn't have the greatest season. I think it just happens in sports, and certainly happens in hockey. And anytime you get a team together for a short tournament, sometimes it's going to go very amazingly. Other times, not so much. This year, not so much.
It looked like we were just waiting for Team Canada to just get that one game, that one period, just to start to dominate and take over and then run the table, and it just didn't happen. And you're right, Terry. The parity is so strong among the big countries now. You can go across any of the big 4 or 5, and any one of them can take this tournament from year to year. And it still is a 19-year-old tournament, despite you look at the scoring race and you see some of the draft-eligible players that are up there near the top, but it's still a 19-year-old tournament, and Canada just didn't have enough to put them over the edge.
Now tell me this, Terry, I mean, you look at that final game, every goal scored by the Ontario Hockey League. Tell us about the representation from the O and if you feel that they certainly pulled their weight.
Yeah, I think all in all, everyone played well, but they've had other games. You know, Mitch Marner, well, he picked things up later on. Dylan Strome was up and down. I think all in all, it's really not necessarily looking at it league-wide or which league did what and anything like that. I think it's just a case where overall they did not necessarily come together. And I think, you know, people wonder, oh, do we need to have more meetings and do all this and all that? One idea that's been bounced around a little bit, especially, you know, those of us who get together in media rooms and have a chat. And, you know, the one talk is, should Team Canada maybe hire a coach in August, but maybe it's someone who's not coaching somewhere else, who maybe take someone who's maybe been let go in the spring and use this as maybe a 6-month contract where they don't go back to a pro team or don't go back to a CHL team and instead work for Hockey Canada for that 6-month period from, say, July, August through this tournament, and they get a chance to go out and scout the players. But they're also not tied to any team, so that there may be, you know, that perception that you took a certain player over a different player from either a certain league or maybe from your own team, for example. And just to have that sort of independent coach a little bit to really add to that and get a chance to see the players a lot more. And, you know, it's a suggestion that certainly could be thrown out there, but all in all, I think realistically it was just the cases we've talked about. You know, things sometimes go your way, things sometimes don't, and this year just didn't quite go their way. Next year could be completely different.
The Ontario Hockey League players certainly did represent, and I like that idea, Terry, about having a coach that would be a full-time coach for Team Canada. That's an interesting concept. But for Team Canada this year, you look at the guys, Mitch Marner in that final game, Dylan Strome named one of the best in the tournament, and you can't say enough about Travis Konechny. Just the energy he brought, and he tried to single-handedly bring the team back into the tournament, and some big goals, or a big goal in that finish game, and hits throughout, and just the energy he brought, it just wasn't enough, though, for Canada.
Well, we'll turn our attention back to the Ontario Hockey League and some of the moves when we come back on the Roundtable. We turn our attention to trades that have been going on. Terry, tell us about Flint and Windsor and the big deal there involving Connor Chatham, Luke Kerwin as well.
Well, Connor Chatham was a guy that was highly coveted by a lot of teams around the league. It's certainly a player who can play a tough physical game, go to the front of the net and play, as the coaches say, in those dirty areas, especially in the playoffs. And, you know, going into the new year, it was certainly thought that he would be moved, and some teams were looking at him. Luke Kerwin, and picks go the other way. But interesting out of Flint earlier this week as well, Terry Christensen, the GM, replaced by head coach John Gruden, who's now the GM coach dual portfolio, as stability in Flint has been a question mark throughout the season, but we've seen this in the past. Sometimes when you have new ownership and a team moved, I think Saginaw would go back to that in 2002, 2003 area, where they went through some transitions as well in their first couple of years there. So I think getting stability in Flint is a big thing, but I think the Windsor Spitfires and their fans are really going to like having Connor Chatham around.
An interesting time to make a move in the Flint side of things, right in the middle of trade deadline season, so we'll see how that plays out. But the Windsor Spitfires are quite happy to pick up Connor Chatham. They don't have a whole lot of cards left. Connor Chatham's one of those big-bodied players. He's a pro who's been drafted into the NHL, and Windsor's a team that's really looking towards next year and a run at next year, and they're planning on putting a bid in for the Memorial Cup for next season. And a guy like Connor Chatham, similar situation to what Jake Patterson brought to Kitchener last year. A guy who's going to teach them how to win leading into the playoffs, who's going to get them into the playoffs, and maybe they can surprise somebody in a round, maybe two, in Windsor. And that'll go a long way for the run for next season. So Connor Chatham, more than just a simple pickup for the Windsor Spitfires, there's some hope that it'll teach the youngsters how to play and play in the playoffs.
Now, Chris, let's go to the other side of things. We look at Michael Del Cole. His trade from Oshawa wasn't having a great start to the year, got cut from Team Canada camp, but he still has to be one of the best players in the league.
He is. He's a pure sniper, and you look at a guy like Michael Del Cole, and motivation may be something that he needs to play for. Last year, a great Oshawa team that was going for the Memorial Cup, and he was a big key in that team. You look at Kingston making a run in the East now, and now he's got something to play for once again. He's got DeRoche there too, a former teammate with Oshawa, so something to play for and a push for Doug Gilmour and the Kingston Frontenacs.
Well, and guys, certainly with Del Cole winning the Memorial Cup last year, a little tough to come back to junior when you wanted to go maybe to the Islanders this year. So a little tough in that first half of the year. And he's going to be keyed upon because who else is around to really support in Oshawa with all the turnover? Goes to Kingston. They've got more depth. Now to get that motivation in the second half, the Team Canada cut as well. I think, it showed in his first game with 2 goals, and it'll be very interesting as the Frontenacs looking to load up and go for a long playoff run for the first time in a whole long time.
Just your both opinions before we close here. Can Kingston play with any team in the West? Because the West is really heavy this year. Kingston kind of being the beast of the East.
I think, guys, very quickly, it's going to be a case Kingston could certainly make a run against some of those Western teams, especially if the Western teams beat each other up in the playoffs. That's been a key over the last few years. We've seen that even going back the last decade. If the Western teams beat each other up in the playoffs, it could allow an East team, but right now, I'd still lean towards some of the Western heavyweights.
And I think that's what the Eastern Conference combatants are thinking too, is that go ahead and beat yourselves up there in the West. We'll be sitting here waiting in that Eastern final, or with the Eastern side of things in the final, and see how we play out then.
Well, and there can always be those late risers or those surprise teams that come in and really make a push on it as well. Chris, Terry, thank you for your comments, your thoughts on things. As we head back to the third period, it's the roundtable for another week on TV Cogeco.
If smoking were taken out of children and youth-rated movies, I would
grow up seeing my favorite movie stars be cool or tough without smoking.
Not be able to name off cigarette brands based on what I have seen in movies.
Avoid becoming addicted to tobacco because I wasn't exposed to on-screen smoking.
In 2009, 1.1 billion tobacco impressions were delivered in children and youth-rated films in Canada. Take a stand against smoking in movies.
Do that Brit thing. Come on, Ralph. This is the BBC. Here is the news. Dauntless Canadian troops beat back hitherto invincible German forces on Normandy's Juno Beach today.
And this is Canadian Armed Forces Radio with something that really matters. That great hit by Toronto's own Ruth Lowe.
Musician and broadcaster Johnny Lombardi would continue to play a prominent role in our popular culture for another half-century. But not before he and the men of the 7th Canadian Infantry had earned the world's gratitude for what they did at Juno Beach.
Join me, Karen Minty, the host of Community Conversations, each week as I have the conversations that count. Regardless of whether my guests have overcome great personal obstacles or made huge changes in middle age, or always known how to live their best life, one thing is for certain: they all have a passion and they want to share it with you. Community Conversations, only on TV Cogeco.
Well into the third period of play. Actually, 18:41 was that time of the goal by Ethan Supula, his second of the game, 11th of the season from Suzuki and Bork to make it a 2-1 hockey game. Then 30 seconds later, it was Jacob Friend at 19:11 to make it a 3-1 hockey game. Then Konecny from King and Zaka at 19:56, while the clubs are playing 4-on-4 to make it 3-2, and that's where we stand right now. We'll continue to skate 4-on-4 for 1:27 on the Sting side and 1:38 on the attack side.
Here's Palmu. Back out here to start the third period. Konechny goes cross ice to Zaka. 4-on-4 with Konechny and Zaka, 2 NHL first round picks, and Chychrun there, a soon to be first rounder. And Jeff King, who's a first rounder in our hearts.
There you go.
Didn't want to leave him out. Šemić. King back after it. Moves it up to Kyrou. Somebody's lost a Gatorade bottle off the Owen sound bench that Kyrou had to get around. Hancock skates it out here for the attack. Dumping it in wide of the goal. Fazio had to be careful with the ricochet off the end boards. Now Friend looking for a second goal. Jacobs will go for a skate instead. Sting will have a very quick power play for about 14 seconds coming up here in a moment. Friend. Studnicka wanted to take it away from him. Kyrou chases after Trenton Bourque, who comes away from it. Dumped in there by the attack. Just a few seconds to go in the Zapula minor. He went off for interference. And now 5-on-5. This is Zapula. He left it there on the delayed offside. We'll go to the bench. Spinozzi. Lindbergh moving it out on the left wing for Sarnia. Lindbergh scored shorthanded in the game. Hodgson with a shot up high. McNiven made the stop. The rebound came loose. Schlichting comes down off the left point, looking to put it into the face-off circle. Šemić plays it away from Lindbergh. Hodgson staples Phillips into the end wall. Phillips. There was Sturck. Sturck, a wrister, goes into the netting, and that'll result in a face-off. 2.5 gone in the third period of play. The well-traveled Josh Sturck. London, Oshawa, Kitchener, his previous homes in the Ontario Hockey League.
Part of that trade deadline deal last year, and played 27 games with London to end up the season last season, and then on to Owen Sound this year for Sturck.
Of note, Sasha Shimoleski has scored for the Ottawa 67s tonight, so players going both ways have scored for their new clubs.
Just need Chase Campbell and Sam Studnicka to get into the action now.
Campbell not in the lineup, and I actually wondered about that, 'cause of course he had that knee injury.
He did, yeah.
But Studnicka out here for Sarnia as Konechny was battling to the front of the net. And Gajovic, maybe one move too many to go offside at the blue line.
He tried to backhand it off the boards, kind of to himself, but put himself offside, did Gajovic. 4 seconds shy of the 3-minute mark. There you get a look at Kevin Spinozzi having a chat with the official. They go their separate ways and line it up for the face-off outside the Sting blue line.
Zaka with a pass, looking to connect with Kyrou. Kyrou spinning away from Struthers. Brack had him lined up. Kyrou kicks it over the line, but ruled offside are the Sting.
Sting with just the one home game this weekend, and they'll have just one home game next weekend as well, and that's because the International Silver Stick Minor Hockey Tournament is here next weekend. So the Sting will kick it off with a home game Friday. They'll bring out all the captains from the various clubs to have a bit of an opening ceremony, and then the Sting will go on the road as the tournament kind of takes over the RBC, or rather the Sarnia Sports and Entertainment Center, for the rest of the weekend.
White, the hard pass Mistily had trouble with, but now he'll chase it into the corner. Referee Joe Celestin got those big skates in the way, though. Now White will try it again. White with a shot, put that wide of the goal. Came off the end wall, and McNiven had to make the adjustment. Chychrun could not stop it at the left point. Gianfroni. Played back there. Sturck not able to play it. That's an icing call against the attack and not able to make the line change.
Jacob Chikrin, of course, as we mentioned, back in the first period off to the CHL Top Prospects game with Jordan Kyrou later this month in Vancouver. And as Terry alluded to, likely to be a very high first-round draft pick in the National Hockey League draft this coming summer.
Ryan McGill calling his timeout here for the attack, and this after the icing call. I think wanted to make a couple adjustments talking to his team, but I think we'll see this more and more in the OHL when a team takes an icing call and head back in their own zone like that, use their timeout. But McGill very animated on the bench.
I was going to say, obviously not happy with the early effort of his club here in the third period, directing some of his anger toward his hockey club, trying to get them going. They're ahead here 3-2, the attack is.
Well, I think McGill looking at it, it's an opportunity here. The Attacker 4-10-3 on the road this season. And opportunity for points in this game, leading by a goal with 16 minutes to go in the third in Sarnia. The Sting are 12-3-2 on home ice this year.
Yeah, the Attack is looking at the numbers on the road. They've been very bleak on the road, having scored just 28 goals in 17 games on the road. And this 3 goals here tonight is one of their highest outputs on the road of the entire season. And they lead this one 3-2.
Sturck skating on the right wing. Gets around the hit there of Studnicka. Šemić. Watching there as here comes Zaka with Konechny and Studnicka with a chance. McNiven keeps it away from him. Zaka will try it again off the post. Business picking up here for the Sarnia Sting in the third period, but out comes Sturck with Palmu. King cuts him off. Suzuki. Drop back now, the pass out on left wing. Lindberg. Cut off Hancock. Lindberg chasing it there along with Phillips. They wrestle towards the corner. Hancock trying to dig it free. Bushnell comes in there. Spinozzi cuts in off the left point, not able to catch up to it. Bork with the long pass has Zapula. Zapula waits, gets it on goal, and Justin Fazio will hold on. The OHL tonight on TV Cogeco is brought to you by Stokes Inland Grill and Bar. They're located on Lambton Mall Road, just a few minutes away from the Sarnia Sports and Entertainment Center. And you talked about the Silver Stick tournament coming up, and you know there'll be lots of young Silver Stick youngsters probably dropping by there before or after the game.
No doubt about that, and usually a fairly good crowd at the SSEC, as a lot of friends and family are in the crowd for that Sting game against the Oshawa Generals next Friday. So Alexander Rideau will be back in town, and Matt Mistley will play against his former mates, or what's left of his former mates, I guess, in Oshawa.
Bit of an odd weekend for the Sting. Almost a home and home with the Generals, with Hamilton sandwiched in between. Brack going wide there, bumping there with Black. Hodgson opens up a bit more room to work. Brack came across, passed through center ice, broken up by Friend, and dumped back in by Struthers. So Sting goalie Charlie Graham will get a chance to see his old mates next weekend with Hamilton. And of course, that's an organization he's tied to with formerly the Belleville Bulls, and that's where he played his entire career, now in his 5th year. Mistley there along with La Jeunesse. Kyrou along with La Jeunesse moving it into Mistley. Mistley goes down a little awkwardly along the boards. Jovic sends it back into the middle. MacArthur. We approach 7 minutes gone in the third. The Attack still up by a goal. And poking away at it there. It ends up in the netting, so the faceoff will move to the left of Fazio.
Saw a list today of a few players, about 3 or 4 players, don't recall all of them, but players who, of course, weren't traded at the OA deadline today, so will play their entire 5-year career with one franchise. Devin Williams of the Erie Otters was one that was noted. Danny DeRoche of the Sudbury Wolves. And there was a couple other ones that don't come to mind, but anymore, it's pretty rare to see a player play all 5 seasons with one franchise in the OHL.
Smith and Santos with the North Bay Battalion would be 2 more that would play extended careers with one team. Sting were close to having that over the last few years. Danny Nick Androff would have been one, and if go back a few more years, Nathan Charletti would have been another, and of course Charletti was moved to Owen Sound.
Exactly, he became a fan favorite up at the Bayshore as well.
And now a fan favorite at St. Francis Xavier University in the East Coast. The Sting with White dropping it. Bushnell overskated it a little bit. Now Sturck coming back here. And Fazio able to keep that out. Spinozzi moving it over to Jacobs. He comes back to the near side. Salinitri trying to control. Instead, it's the attack who bring it back out. Suzuki. MacArthur with a chance, kicked out. Rebound there. As going to the front of the net was Lindo, but he was tied up by White. White and Lindo getting the sticks up in front of the net as well. As now they'll try their battle in the corner. Lindo getting the elbow up in the grill of White a little bit as that battle continues. Spinozzi comes over to say hello. Bushnell to the line, not out. Jacobs. Playing it around. The Sting not able to clear the zone. Fazio has lost a stick in the process. Dumped back in by Bushnell. Fazio regains the lumber.
Fazio leads the OHL in lost sticks this season, I think.
Zaka centers it out in front, scores. Guess who? Travis Konechny takes a nice feed from Pavel Zaka, and we're tied at 3.
There's a couple of fellas you'll see play at the next level for a long, long time, and they just showed you why right there. Pavel Zaka with a tape-to-tape pass onto Travis Konechny. All he had to do was redirect that one into the wide-open cage, and it's a 3-3 hockey game as you see Zaka right here. The pass right on the tape, and Konechny connects to make it a tie hockey game at 8:41. Konechny already with 2 goals as a member of the Sarnia Sting. Only had 7 in Ottawa this season, but already has increased that total to 9 in the year.
Here's Zaka. Cross ice feed. McNiven. So Konechny with 2 goals on the night. Zaka gets a big assist. Here's Zapula. Wanting to get around to the front of the net. A stop there, maybe off the mask by Fazio. Friend wrists it back in. Dunda. Backhand chance. That goes off the outside of the net. Here's Lajeunesse now. MacArthur. Puck bouncing around. It goes over. Gajovic. King. Wristing around. Look out. Gajovic took that one in the grill. He's slow to go to the bench. Mistily centers it right out in front of that. There's Kyrou with an opportunity and not able to score. Back the other way. Gajovic replaced by Hancock. He walks in. Backhand chance, scores. Hancock able to bury it behind Fazio, and it's the attack who regained the lead at 4-3.
10:34, the time of the go-ahead goal, as Hancock was sent in alone and beats goaltender Justin Fazio. He's going to mention before this goal that I thought Hancock was maybe the best player on the ice for the Owen Sound attack tonight, and he beats goaltender Fazio right there through the 5-hole as the Sarnia defender is in hot pursuit, but Hancock with a go-ahead goal to make it a 4-3 game at 10:34.
And of course, that was all created by the fact that Gajovic was slow going to the bench after taking that clearing attempt. And so Hancock was the late replacement. And he, right off the bench, was behind the Sarnia D, took the feed, walked in on the breakaway, and slid it home. Spinozzi wanted to keep it in at the left point as he battles. Lindo dumping it into the zone. Jacobs. Hodgson couldn't find it for a moment. Sturck stops it. Here's Sturck with Palmu. Sturck makes a move, poked away by Spinozzi. Up ahead to Lindbergh. Lindbergh squeezes by his man, gets the shot off. McNiven with the stop there. Shots now 27-26 in favor of Sarnia. Konechny, 2 goals on the night, going to the net, scores! Oh, what a goal by Travis Konechny! Bring out the hats in Sarnia, it's 4-4.
Travis Konechny making his presence felt early in his Sarnia Sting career. A hat trick, and there you see some of the headgear on the ice. As the native of Clacton, Ontario, gets the hat trick right here as Konechny going along the ice, along the goal line, and each goaltender McNiven backhand to tie this hockey game at 4-4. So the goals coming fast and furious. This one at 11:43. So we've had 3 goals in the last 3 minutes and 2 seconds. 2 of them off the stick of Travis Konechny, and he now has 3 on the game. It'll take some time to clean up some of the hats on the ice here.
Nice way to impress the 3,388 in your first game in Sarnia.
That's a nice debut. 7 goals as an Ottawa 67 through the first half of the season. 3 more in his first game as a member of the Sarnia Sting. So the fans, all 3,388 of them, in better humor now as the game is tied at 4-4.
So he scores a hat trick in his first game. Okay, now what? As we've got a penalty coming up here, we're going to take a break. We'll sort out the penalty on the other side. It's 4-4 and a wild one here in Sarnia.
Back here at the Sarnia Sports and Entertainment Center, there's Travis Konechny. A hat trick to tie this hockey game at 4-4. The Sting now in the power play as Palmo is in the box. Petrus Palmo in the box for high sticking at 11:55. So the face-off coming to the right of Michael McNevin. Konechny from Zaka and Salonitri, and then Konechny again from Zaka in that last scoring play. So Pavel Zaka with 3 assists on the hockey game here tonight as well.
Now another shot on goal. Mistily looking for the tip on the Chikrin shot, and McNiven forced to hold on.
Mistily, as you mentioned earlier, trying to extend that goal-scoring streak as he scored in 6 straight games as a member of the Sarnia Sting and 9 out of 10 since coming from the Oshawa Generals.
Quick shot off the draw, ends up getting tied up out in front. Zaka will have to chase it down, and the Sting will regroup. Suzuki stops the clearing attempt from Zaka. Suzuki able to walk in and finally taken away. Here comes Konechny. He's got 3 on the night already. Mistily drops. Konechny walking in with a chance and just got his stick tied up at the last moment. Chychrun. Misteli. Chychrun. Bouncing around, and Misteli will have to come back after it. Zacha takes it. Sting starting to change the power play unit, 50 seconds to go. Fazio. Setting it up. Here comes Jacobs. Spinozzi dropping it off. Jacobs ringing it around the boards. Šemić tried to chip at it there. Lajeunesse gets it down low. Bourque with room to clear, stopped by Kyrou. Spinozzi, wrist shot, that goes into traffic, not able to make its way through. Kyrou. Lajeunesse was dumped along the far side. It goes back to Jacobs. Side of the net was Lajeunesse. It went off his skate and cleared by the attack.
Back at full strength.
Under 6 minutes to go, and an interesting little hockey game here in Sarnia. Hancock shot along the ice. Kicked out there by Fazio. Bushnell tied up by Friend. Salinitri. Black, the wrist shot right on goal. McNiven able to make the stop with White parked out in front of the net. Trying to reel in the rebound was Bushnell.
Now somebody got a stick on it in front and change directions, but McNiven able to make the save.
White. Salinitri. Dropping it back. Black. Handing it off to King. Under 5 to go here in the third. Suzuki. Tied up there. Chychrun has look out on goal. Lindo got a stick up on Fazio, and Bushnell coming back at Lindo, but play's going to be allowed to continue on. Bushnell doesn't want to take a minor here. Dunda and Bushnell having a few words as well. Salinitri clears it off the boards. Oohs and ahs with the whistle coming here with 4:14 to go in the third.
No, Bushnell straightening up Dunda right at the whistle there and sent him halfway into the bay area between the two benches. Everybody goes their separate ways for the face-off just outside the Sarnia Sting blue line.
Down the ice and enough steam for icing with 4:02 to go in the third.
Travis Konechny with the hat trick, and Brandon Lindbergh, the other for the Sarnia Sting. Ethan Zapula has a couple of goals for the Owen Sound attack. Jacob Friend and Kevin Hancock, the others. Konechny actually with 4 goals in his last 2 games in this building, because he had a goal and 2 assists for the Ottawa 67s when they played here just before Christmas.
It was teddy bear toss afternoon here when Dante Salturo had the big game for the 67s, and Matt Misteli responded in a big way for the Sting in the win. Zacha settles it down. Studnicka. Konechny, Zacha going to work. Zacha trying to get it free away from Zapula. Down low, Konechny. Taken down by Friend. Brack coming back here on the right wing. Dropping it. MacArthur shot blocked. Rolling to the front of the goal. Fazio able to keep it out. Brack playing it right back in. Still battling away at the corner. Now a chance. Bork shot. Goes wide of the goal. Shemich moving it into Chinfroni. Jacobs. Lindbergh will backhand it out. Bork chases after it. Shemich moving it off. Palmu into the middle. Chinfroni shot. That goes wide of Fazio. 2 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the third. As Hodgson comes up with a high hit on Palmu, and that's going to send Hodgson to at least the box, if not the room. And now Palmu is right back up.
Lindbergh is in there with someone, and now Palmu makes his way to the bench. The trainer had made it about halfway out.
And that might have saved, the fact that Palmu was up and skating off may have saved Hodgson a few minutes of penalty time.
Hodgson goes to the box here at 17:48. The veteran sits down with a high hit.
The discussion happening, you know they're peeking over at the Owen Sound bench to see the status of Palmu.
Palmu's going to make his way to the room.
And as soon as they saw him go to the room, they made the call to send Hodgson to the dressing room.
Exactly.
So he's getting the 5.
You wonder if that's just a little theatrics going to the dressing room, because he was pretty quick to get up off the ice, but easy for me to say. Here's the hit right there. Got the left elbow in. Hodgson did. That one probably a lot more egregious than the one against Brandon Lindbergh just a while back.
But they had not made up their mind on the call, and I was watching the two referees, Andrew Thompson and Joe Celeste, and it was pretty obvious. They were discussing it. They weren't sure what to call. They saw Palmu go to the room. Then they looked back at each other and said, all right, it's a 5.
And that's what Darian Hatcher is saying, is he said he's halfway off the ice before the trainer even got off the bench. And then all of a sudden he had to go to the room. So that's what Darian Hatcher is arguing. To no avail. It'll be a major against Hayden Hodgson, and the Owen Sound attack will close out the third period on the power play.
And of course, you wonder what this could bring if any further discipline. Hodgson has been suspended for those types of hits before. Here comes Dursey. Dropping it. Shemich. Handed off. Cianfroni. Dropped out in front of the net. Dursey moved over to Sturck. Attack on the power. We batted out of the air. Cianfroni winding to center. It's the attack now looking to see, never mind a point in Sarnia. Can they get the 2 in regulation? White with Zaka. Chikrin hammers it down the ice, had a little bit of an intern on it. McNiven had to be careful. Chikrin along with Studnicka. Puck comes loose there. Black battling for it against Hancock. Zapula drops it in the middle. Studnicka will clear it back out to center. 40 seconds to go. Phillips behind the goal. It's a chance out in front of that Zapula, who has 2 on the night. Kept out. Now a chance out in front of the goal. Zapula was parked there. One more clear by the Sting. McNiven will use the quick up here, the long pass for Zapula as the attack trying one more time with a dozen seconds to go in regulation. Here's Sturck with the blast. Fazio forced to keep that one out. Cleared down the ice by Fazio, so that's going to do it in regulation. We are headed to overtime here on a Friday night in Sarnia.
And of course, still 2 minutes and 48 seconds showing in that major penalty against Hayden Hodgson. So it will continue to be an Owen Sound power play as we head for OT.
And this will make it 4-on-3 because, of course, we are 3-on-3 in overtime. But if you're shorthanded, the other team gets a guy. Sarnia is going to want to put somebody in the penalty box very soon as well. You don't have to put someone in during a major penalty, but if the major expires and you don't have someone in the penalty box, you can't put a guy on the ice off the bench. You stay shorthanded until a whistle.
Until the whistle, exactly. 31-30 are the shots on goal through 60 minutes in favor of the Sarnia Sting. Konechny with his second of the game at 8:41 to tie the game. Kevin Hancock his fourth of the season at 10:34 to give the Owen Sound attack the 4-3 lead, and then Konechny his 10th and completing the hat trick from Zaka at 11:43 to tie it up at 4-4, and that's where we stand going into the overtime period. Pavel Zaka has 3 assists, and he rang one off the post on the back end in the third period as well. Ethan Zapula, that man, has a pair of goals for the Owen Sound attack and an assist as well.
It'll be interesting to see what Sarnia does. You know they're going to go 1 forward, 2D. But what sort of approach do they use in terms of pretty much just try to go penalty kill, I guess, for the first bit. Mistley goes to the box,
yep.
Which Mistley would not usually play shorthanded.
So he'll be able to join the rush once the penalty is over if the game continues to that point.
So overtime is underway. McNiven leaves it there for Šemić. Šemić carrying it in. Gianfroni broken up by Zaka. Zaka going to be dangerous shorthanded. Moves it up and then he'll drop it back to Jacobs. Spinozzi will hammer it down the ice. Wide of the goal, Studnicka will move into a defensive position as he's the forward on the ice for the Sting. Šemić. Attack set up on this 4-on-3 power play. Šemić handing it off to Sturck. It's 2 players near the front of the goal, broken up. Jacobs hammers it off the outside of the net. The attack get it right back. Šemić up top, looks to his left. He's got a man there. Gianfroni the shot. Fazio the stop, didn't know where the rebound was for a moment. Gianfroni for Šemić. Gianfroni, wrist shot, off the post, it's in! Bryson Gianfroni scores the goal, and the Owen Sound attack come into Sarnia and pick up a 5-4 overtime win. A power play goal by the attack in the extra frame. The difference maker in this one here tonight. In front of 3,388 in Sarnia. Gianfroni with the overtime winner. And the attack will head home with the 5-4 win against the Sting in overtime. We will wrap this one up on the other side of the break as you're watching the OHL tonight here on TV Cogeco.
It's here, the blockbuster exhibition everyone has been talking about. See paintings by Salvador Dali and other great masters at the Judith and Norman Alex Art Gallery in downtown Sarnia. Come to the gallery Wednesday through Sunday and take in the Masterworks from the Beaverbrook Gallery exhibition. Book your tickets online at masterworks@jnaag.ca. That is masterworks@jnaag.ca, or call 519-336-8128 to book your tour today.
If smoking were taken out of children and youth-rated movies, I would
grow up seeing my favorite movie stars be cool or tough without smoking.
Not be able to name off cigarette brands based on what I have seen in movies.
Avoid becoming addicted to tobacco because I wasn't exposed to on-screen smoking.
In 2009, 1.1 billion tobacco impressions were delivered in children and youth-rated films in Canada. Take a stand against smoking in movies.
Sarnia, it's a final 5-4, the Owen Sound attack with the win against the Sarnia Sting. And skating in here is Ethan Zapula joining me here. And after last night in Windsor, how big was the 2 points here in Sarnia tonight?
Well, we didn't have a great game last night in Windsor, that's for sure. And we wanted to come out hard today, and we wanted to get these 2 points, especially against Sarnia, with a couple new accusations that were huge for them. So, this was a big 2 points for us as a team, and hopefully we can just keep moving forward.
Was the motivation for the game kind of like, you know what, we're going in there and maybe go spoil the party a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. It was just kind of like every other game, though, at the same time. We just came in, we stuck with the same game plan. We wanted to come out with the 2 points. Unfortunately, we grinded it out here, so yeah.
You talk about gutting it out. I know the flu bug's been going around your room. It's certainly one of those ones you guys probably, people don't even realize how much some of the guys are battling right now.
Yeah, for sure. We're battling a bit. A couple guys have been out, but at the same time, some guys have been able to step up, and that's something that we need. So we'll get through this, and we'll keep battling and hopefully keep moving forward.
How big was Michael McNiven for you guys, especially trying to withstand some of the storm for Sarnia?
Well, he's huge. He's our best player for sure, and he was huge for us to make a couple saves just to keep us in it, even though it was a little back and forth. He stood tall for us, and it was good for us. So.
Pretty nice to get back on home ice tomorrow night?
Yeah, it's going to be big. It's a game against Kingston, so that's going to be also a big game for us too. So hopefully we can also grind out and come out with the 2 points.
We'll let you go back to the room. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you so much.
There's Ethan Zapula, 2 goals in the hockey game tonight for the Owen Sound attack as they are the victors. 5-4 in overtime against the Sarnia Sting. Let's take a look at our 3 stars of the hockey game in this one. And no real surprises in terms of the 3 stars. Pavel Zacha with 3 assists in the hockey game for the Sarnia Sting, setting up a beautiful goal by Travis Konechny. Ethan Zapula with 2 goals. The number 2 star in Travis Konechny with 3 goals on the night. The number 1 star of the game here for the Sarnia Sting is certainly Travis Konechny, showing himself very well to start out his Sarnia Sting time here. Of course, we'll see how long he's going to be in Sarnia as well. Let's take a look at what's going on out of town. 8 other games in the Ontario Hockey League on this evening, and right now we can see that the Flint Firebirds are trailing right now in London, a 3-1 hockey game going on. That game in the 3rd period of play. In overtime, we know it's not a final in overtime at that point because you can't finish 2-2, but in overtime right now, the North Bay Battalion and the Sudbury Wolves still in OT in the Nickel City. Elsewhere, it's right now 5-2, the Oshawa Generals. That's done, the 5-2, the Frontenacs over the Generals. Also done in the nation's capital, Sasha Shimoleski is on the board for the 67s as they defeat the Peterborough Petes 3-2. The final there, a tight one in Saginaw. The Ice Dogs doubling up on the Spirit 2-1. Still in the 3rd, a 1-1 tie between the Otters and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And meantime, the Guelph Storm up by a score of 3-1 against the Barrie Colts, and all even the Bulldogs and the Rangers in the 3rd period of play in that game going on. Well, next broadcast to tell you about for the Owen Sound attack. Certainly a little happier going home after being shut out last night against the Windsor Spitfires on home ice tomorrow night at 7:30 from the Bay Shore as they will take on the Kingston Frontenacs. Meantime, we'll follow the Sarnia Sting on the road this weekend. It starts out in Saginaw against the Spirit tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. We'll also follow the Sting into Sault Ste. Marie on Sunday at 2. Both games for you right here on TV Cogeco. Well, Not the end result Sarnia Sting fans wanted, but certainly if it's a taste of things to come with the new look Sarnia Sting, well, they fall on home ice by a score of 5-4 in overtime. Travis Konechny with 3 big goals for the Sting in this one. For Barry Wright and our entire team here in Sarnia, I'm Terry Doyle. Thanks for joining us for the OHL tonight, right here on TV Kojo. Good night, everyone.
The preceding program has been a presentation of TV Kojiko Sports.
When I see a cruiser parked on the side of the road, I immediately think of my mom, and that's always difficult.
OPP members stop vehicles on highways across Ontario every day, yet drivers passing emergency vehicles often don't move over or slow down.
It's just so simple. Slow down and move over, and she would have been here.
You're watching TV Kojiko, truly local television.
Hi, I'm Helen Lomax, and you are watching The Workplace Puzzle. We've got an interesting show, and we're talking about dealing with difficult people. But before we get started, we have a key question for you. The world is filled with difficult people. Are you one of them? My guest on this show is Carleen Weaver, who is a business owner in the evolved economy. And Carleen, you and I have dealt with lots of people in our lifetime, and we've met some really great ones and some not so great ones. So what makes people difficult?
Their opinion, the personality, a lot of different things that make people difficult, and points of view.
It's true, yeah. And sometimes it can be perspective. It can be whether you're in the management side of things, whether you're on the staff side of things, you know, and just how you go on. Personalities are very difficult too.
They sure are.
Yeah.
That's right.
They really, really are difficult. But if people don't understand that they're being difficult for other people, what impact can that have?
Oh, it could put tremendous stress on the work environment, just in the atmosphere, the work that's being produced. Mm-hmm. If someone is stressed out, other people cannot produce the way they're supposed to.
That is so true. That is so true. And sometimes I find what makes things difficult for people too is when they've got goals and objectives, and people think that the goals or objectives should be different, or the methods should be different, and that can create a lot of friction and tension in an organization and the environment too. So what happens to the individual? What's a consequence to the individual if they're difficult with the people around them?
It makes it rough for everybody else, but they really have to ask lots of questions to find out if they're on board, whether they feel that this is a goal that's attainable, achievable, whether they want to be part of the team, because we all want to work together, because this is a workplace and it is a team.
No, I don't want to work there.
You don't want to work there? Okay, maybe there's another position that we would, that you would like to try out for.
Yeah. It can be hard because sometimes you find people like that, don't you?
You sure do.
When it's like, no, I'm going to resist, and you guys don't know what you're doing, and this is flavor of the month, and it's going to change too, so why would we bother? Let's just wait and put our heads down and nothing's going to happen.
but nothing is accomplished. We have a goal.
We do have a goal. Yeah, we do have a goal. And I find what can happen with the difficult people sometimes is that they can get isolated, and they don't feel that they're part of it, and then that kind of creates even more difficulties.
It sure
and
does.
the other thing that can do is sometimes being difficult really works for them though, because people become afraid, and they don't want to tread any water on them.
Absolutely.
You ever seen that happen?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But we're a team. It's a workplace. We're a team, and this is the main goal: to work as a team. And we should try and work with everybody. Ask more questions to see if they have an opinion, whether they're on board.
Yeah.
Maybe, okay, if you'd like to voice your opinion, we will hear it. Everybody has an opinion. We'll hear it. Then we can come up with a consensus.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
If they turn the corner.
Yes.
If they turn the corner. What happens in organizations though? You've got a team that really is sailing right along, but there's one individual that really kind of holds back. The team still accomplishes their results.
Absolutely.
But that one individual isn't on side.
No, the other people have to do a little extra work, a little more challenging for them because there are X number of people on a team. One is not pulling their weight. Yes, it is a little difficult, but with an employee, as an employee or as a coworker, you try to encourage that person, trying to figure out, maybe ask more questions. You know, what about their opinion on this?
Yeah, but if the extra team has to pick up extra work, doesn't that cause more resentment?
It does, but a lot of the team is working towards the goal. They have a goal.
They do. But yeah, if you get sidetracked with a difficult person,
Yes.
it can be really tough because resentment can go up, and then people stop putting their best foot forward.
Absolutely.
And then everybody can be a little bit difficult, and how are we going to deal with this, or how are we going to deal with that? And what do you do though? Like, what if the boss is the difficult individual? How do you like, what impact does that have if the boss is the one making it tough?
It's a huge impact. We try and work. Hopefully the boss he may be the boss and he should be working towards the goal, and we may have to go to his supervisor or another coworker trying to figure out how he sees this challenge, this goal.
Yeah, I find sometimes that if it's the boss that's causing a lot of difficulties too, though, the team starts to walk on eggshells.
Absolutely.
They're afraid of what they can do or what's going to cause trouble or not get things done, and that holds everybody up.
It does.
It really holds everybody up, and
Yeah.
there's the consequences can be individual. You know, they can be a lot of like stress and poor health. The productivity goes down, absenteeism goes up, all of that stuff.
Yes.
And it makes it really difficult.
It sure does.
But how do you get somebody to realize that maybe they are being difficult? Or how would you, maybe let me reword this, how would you go about changing yourself if you felt that maybe I'm the difficult one here?
Try and put myself into their shoes, how they're looking at it, the way they think, the way they've been acting, their position in the company. They have a different perspective than me as an employee or a staff member.
But regardless of what your position is, how do you change that around? If you think you are the one people are looking at you as being the difficult one, what can you do for yourself?
I will try and watch someone that is really successful and really accomplishing something. Okay, they're doing it this way. This is how they're acting, coordinating and stuff like that. And this is how I have been acting, doing my work. I don't think it coincides with the team. I better pull up my act. I have to think about myself and double check myself to make sure I am not the difficult person.
Yeah, because you know what, at different times we can, and for the audience, when we asked you, are you the difficult person, we all need to think about that at times, don't we?
We sure do. Think about how we see the situation, and maybe we are the difficult person.
Maybe we are.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, we've got lots of things that we want to share with the audience. We've got some good tips that we're going to leave in the last segment, and we've got how do you start the conversation. So we need the audience to stay with us because we got lots more to share. You're watching The Workplace Puzzle on TV Kojiko.
Join me, Karen Minty, the host of Community Conversations, each week as I have the conversations that count. Regardless of whether my guests have overcome great personal obstacles or made huge changes in middle age, or always known how to live their best life, one thing is for certain: they all have a passion and they want to share it with you. Community Conversations, only on TV Cogeco.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
House late as usual.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know I'm late, but I'll remember to lift my feet.
Remember 25 years ago you did it on a 747? Well, this time you get to do it on a vintage DC-3.
Now on takeoff and landing, lift your feet and hold for as long as the wheels of the plane are down.
Until next time, keep fit and have fun. Body Break.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of Canada is an awesome resource, just for the simple fact that they have clubs in almost every province. They have clubs in almost every city. There's always a place where children can go and build relationships with people in their community or people outside of their community. If you start with children, then our communities can affect change in the world.
Welcome back to the Workplace Puzzle. I'm talking with Carleen Weaver tonight, and we're dealing with difficult people. And one of the things that we want to reach out to the audience is to say, are you one of the world's difficult people? We know they're out there, and I don't think most people intend to be, but sometimes it just happens. It just happens. And Carleen, we've dealt with a lot of different things, so we need to think in terms of if you have a difficult person either in your team or your environment, or maybe that you need to work with from another department and everything, we need to find ways to start that conversation.
First of all, communication. Start asking questions.
What kind of questions?
Maybe they're bringing something from the other environment, not just from the workplace, but it shows up in the workplace.
That's true.
Ask them, you know, is everything all right in your life? You know, how's your health? And make sure your home life is good. Or if you have another job, you're not sleeping, okay. Where's the problem? Maybe we can help you. If not, let's carry on and let's, okay, we have a goal here and let's see if we can work together. Is anything bothering you? You know, are you having a challenge?
No, I'm fine.
You're fine. Everything is fine. Okay, and your family is good? Yep. You're good?
It's just a work environment, so I don't really know I need to get into my personal life here.
Okay, it's a work environment. Okay, that's good. But sometimes, you know, the personal life does affect the
It truly does.
It truly does.
It truly can. And I was obviously being devil's advocate there, but it's true because sometimes people don't want to discuss and don't want to disclose anything, so we have to know when to back off. And I always find that I should never play armchair psychologist because unless I'm a qualified individual, I really don't need. I think it's good. I think I totally agree with what you're saying there. We need to ask the right questions. You know, are you okay? I've noticed some differences in you. Is there anything we can help with? And they'll give you the cues as to whether they want to open that door to conversation or not, won't they?
They will.
Yeah. And what about body language in this conversation when you want to deal with somebody who's a bit difficult?
Sometimes you can see it in their face, the reactions in their, when they're stance or they're sitting, arms closed, arms across their chest, you know, stay back. And
but that glare, yeah. And I mean, sometimes their jaws clenched, their fists are clenched, they're glaring at you or not looking at you at all. And that can happen too. And I think it's really important for any individual who's trying to open the door and find out and help and move things forward for them to be conscious of their own body language. And you need to be open, you need to be comfortable, you need to be relaxed. And that's sometimes hard to do.
It sure is.
Yeah, that can be very difficult to do if somebody's doing it. But I always find if I'm dealing with somebody, I totally agree with your ask a lot of questions and everything like with that. I think sometimes it helps too is if you can give some examples. If you say to somebody, you know, I noticed out in the plant the other day when you were on your rounds that there was you didn't seem to be as involved and engaged as you usually were. Or in the team meeting, you didn't participate or you shut everybody down. And I think sometimes if you give them the examples, then they can take ownership. Right?
Yeah.
And that's critical.
It sure is.
Yeah. What happens if people don't take ownership? You try, you have this conversation, and they go, it's not me.
Just have to maybe change their workload.
But you may not have responsibility to do that.
Maybe you could make a suggestion to the supervisor, or maybe you could take them under your wing and try and coach them along, keep asking questions, and just, I'm here for you. You know, we all want to work together, and I'm here to help you.
I don't need you.
Okay.
I'm good just on my own, thanks very much. And I've seen those, that's a tough stance, but I've seen people do that. They've got this hard wall around them and they don't want anybody to breach it. And that's hard, and that's hard. But I think the approach is good one that you're, you know, it's a soft approach and you're trying to reach out and help people and let them know that you are there and good support. And support is critical. Support is really critical.
Sure is.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, if they really resist a lot, that we need to talk about consequences for them.
Absolutely. Yes.
You know, you've talked about goals, you've talked about being a team, and maybe you need to just state to people that we're not reaching our goals and we all need to pull together to do that. Right now, I don't see you on side. Is there something we can do to help?
Right.
Do you think that would work?
That would work. They would just have to open up. And because we are a team and we're all working together.
Yeah.
If we can get through to them that we're working together and it's not one person, but it's the whole team.
Yeah. And I think sometimes the consequences need to be laid out as you as an individual. Like, you know, if you don't do this, you are not going to meet the goals and there will be something could go on, you know, or there could be a safety issue that will happen if you're not doing this right. It could be a safety issue that's really going to be a big time thing. Or the consequences for the team could be that we're not going to meet our goals. We're not going to have a good review at the end of this thing like that. Or our workloads are going to get longer because we've got to catch up. We've got to play catch up for that. And the other thing may be that people don't want you on their team anymore.
That's true.
As an individual, it's like we don't want to work with you anymore. So some of the consequences could be isolation. And for some people, they're okay with that, but it's not an okay thing.
No. In a workplace, we all have to work together.
We do.
And that is so crucial.
It is absolutely critical. And one of the things I think that we really need to have a conversation around is the corporate bully.
Yes.
Because we talk about schoolyard bullies, but corporate bullies are out there.
Absolutely.
How could you start a conversation with a corporate bully?
Just talk to him on a nice, even keel. You just got a question, you know, just wondering how things are going. We've had opinions that things are not going as well as what they're supposed to. Like, not sure how we can deal with it.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to ask, is it really you that needs to deal with a corporate bully? Or is it the organization? Or is it the team? Because depending on the relationship to the bully, those might land in different places.
Yes.
They could very well land in different places. Yeah. I think sometimes too, having that conversation with the bully is they may not realize the impact. Exactly. They may have been bullied in their life, and that's their role model. And so I'm going to come on strong, and I'm going to let you know that I'm going to be the top dog here. And if I don't fight my way to the top, I'm going to get squashed. And that's not necessarily the case, but that's all they know.
Yes, yes.
So I think if you say to people, if you keep bullying people, it's going to cause a lot of tension, a lot of conflict. And that's a consequence that can absolutely roll out, which is not a positive one for anyone.
No, it's not. No.
High stress levels.
No one needs that.
No one needs that for sure.
No.
Yeah. I think the corporate bullies are really important because sometimes we almost promote, if you watch TV and all of the things, it's like, oh, who can we vote off this TV show? And it's not just a good thing.
No, it's not. We all have to work together. It's a workplace, and we're all there. We have to earn a living.
Yes, we do.
So let's make the best of it and put our own prejudice, opinions aside and work together.
Yeah. And sometimes we do just need to switch gears, and we do have our personal biases that will surface.
Yes.
And I think sometimes what can happen too is when you're dealing with difficult people, it's not so much that maybe I find you difficult, but you look just like my Aunt Ruth and I always hated her.
Yeah.
So I'm going to react to you like I used to with my Aunt Ruth. And that's very unfair, but we see it happening.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Yep.
And you see maybe there's a mannerism of somebody or facially they look similar to somebody and you respond differently and the person's kind of like, wow, what went on there? Because they have no clue.
No.
They have no clue. And I think the key for being, you know, thinking about difficult people, we all need to look at ourselves. So you that are watching, pay attention to your own behavior and figure out, are there things I'm doing that are causing other people grief? Because maybe things I'm doing are causing problems for other people online or on my shift or in the office or someplace. We need to think about that, and we need to think about the behavior between each other.
Yes.
Don't you think that's true?
Absolutely, yes.
Where do manners come in?
We have to have manners to everybody, and we have to respect everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really, really important for to be courteous and to really see what's going on. So we still have lots more. We're going to leave them with a lot of tips and ways to deal with people. So you are watching The Workplace Puzzle on TV Cogeco.
TV Cogeco is truly local television, and now becoming a member at tvcogeco.com makes posting your public service announcement quick and easy. Simply log on to tvcogeco.com, go to the PSA events page, and click on the link to post an event. Fill out the online form, then click the submit button. Your message will be displayed shortly after being approved. TV Cogeco. Total access is just a click away.
I actually thought, this is it, I'm going to die in this collision. I thought that I wasn't going to come out of that car.
OPP members stop vehicles on highways across Ontario every day, yet drivers passing emergency vehicles often don't move over or slow down.
There's absolutely no reason that a police officer, an ambulance worker, or a firefighter has to lose his life because people won't take that extra 2 seconds to move over into the next lane. Absolutely no reason.
Let's hurry up and get this done.
These young men are not gathering equipment to go pick apples. They are harvesting their own crops, which they have growing on farmers' property. These are marijuana plants, which are planted in remote rural areas away from public view. If you see this type of activity during your travels through the county, do not go and investigate yourself, but rather call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. This message from Sarnia Lambton Crime Stoppers and TV Cogeco.
Welcome back to the Workplace Puzzle. Carlene Weaver and I are talking about dealing with difficult people, and we've talked about what makes things difficult and then starting a conversation to deal with it. But you know what, Carlene, sometimes People don't want to change. I've been this way my whole life, so get out of my face. I'm not going to be any difficult. And this last segment, we promised that we would give people a lot of ideas and things that they can do, and we've got a lot of ideas. One of the things for when people don't want to change is I'm a true believer in making them accountable for their words and their actions. And if somebody comes back with something that's a little bit sharp or a little bit nasty sometimes, I'm going to turn around and say, I'm sorry, what did you say? And I'm going to make them repeat it, because sometimes if they have to say it a second time, it kind of takes them aback. Or if I'll turn around and I'll say to people, why would you say that? You know, why do you think that's true? And I'm going to get an answer from them, because it's like sometimes they're just blowing hot air. And we need to make them accountable to their words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some other things that you think we can do to help people deal with difficult people?
How would they react if someone said that same conversation to you? You're the difficult person. Someone says the very same thing to you. How would you react? I don't think it would be very nice, and it's not good for the workplace. You have to be, those words are not acceptable.
Yep.
Let's see if we can't change the language a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little more, little different words you can use so that it doesn't hurt quite as much.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. I think trying to build trust with that individual, I think sometimes if they really don't want to change, is what we really need to do is maybe get HR involved.
Yes.
Because human resources are trained to deal with some of those things, and if we've tried the skills that are at our fingertips, then HR are a good way to do that. And you know, there's a lot, we need to look at our own behavior too, because sometimes we're shooting out things that are making people react that we don't realize it.
Yes. Yes.
And so we need to always look at ourselves first in the mirror too.
That's the first place to look.
It is. Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, and how are you contributing to the situation? Like you say, maybe my words are contributing to the bad atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to look at what I'm saying, what I'm doing.
Yeah. And when you do that, it's easy to say to somebody, we need to see some changes. What would you like to see me do differently? Because I've got some ideas for you, and I think it'll help strengthen our relationship and make our team stronger too. So those are things to reach out to say, I know I can make some changes, but I need you to work with me.
Yes.
I need
work
you to
together.
work with me.
Work together.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, if you say to people, you know, there's some consequences that are key for both of us here, and it's in everybody's best interest to work together. So those are the kind of things that I think you can put out. And it's important to really let people know that you want to work together. You're on the same team.
Yes.
You're on the same team. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And someone has to be trustworthy.
Yes.
You know, like sometimes if you speak in confidentiality, you know, and it goes no further, that, okay, this is a situation. Let's see if we can't work together.
Yeah.
No one needs to know the background. We're working together.
Yeah. You need to honor the confidentiality. That's a
Absolutely.
good point you made, because if they tell you something and it gets spread around, that trust is broken with you for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
And that's not going to help. So again, that comes back to our own behavior and looking with it. Another thing that if you're dealing with a difficult person is to watch somebody who deals with them well, that has a good relationship. What is it that they do and say to that individual that makes it go smoothly? And what can you do? Or even if you know that individual, go and ask them for advice.
Mentoring.
Yes, mentoring. Good word.
Mentoring, a role play.
Yeah.
You know, if someone's difficult and you see someone that doesn't have a challenge working or talking to that person, role play with them. With a mentor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see how you can help the atmosphere and the workplace.
Very important. Very important. The other thing I think we need to do for everybody is watch your perceptions and assumptions. Because sometimes we're sure that our assumptions are accurate and they could be wildly off base. And so you need to check it out. You know, you need to check it out, that how you're seeing the world or what's going on in front of you. Check with people that you trust.
Yes.
That just they say, you know, I'm kind of uncomfortable in this situation. What do you think we could do differently? Or ask people for feedback.
Yes.
That's a really good one too, is ask for feedback and say, if there's something that I could do different that would improve everything, what would it be? How can I get better? You know, how can I get stronger and really do things? So those are some really key things. And we need to, you know, we hope that this has helped everybody to deal with difficult people. Hopefully you are not one of them. Thank you, Carlene. Appreciate you being on here.
You're welcome.
Really want to thank Tepperman's for the set that they provided, and that you've been watching the Workplace Puzzle on TV Cogeco.
Your medicine cabinet is so easy to access, it might as well be out in public. Keep your drugs off the streets. Return all leftover medication to a pharmacy and talk to your teens about prescription drug abuse. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free Canada.
It's here, the blockbuster exhibition everyone has been talking about. See paintings by Salvador Dali and other great masters at the Judith and Norman Alex Art Gallery in downtown Sarnia. Come to the gallery Wednesday through Sunday and take in the masterworks from the Beaverbrook Gallery exhibition. Book your tickets online at masterworks@jnaag.ca. That is masterworks@jnaag.ca, or call 519-336-8128 to book your tour today.
You're watching TV Cogeco. Truly.
Hello, and welcome to this special episode of the Sports File here on TV Cogeco. I'm your host, Samantha McFadden. Every week, we've been giving you an inside look